Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Mathieu wins the die roll and starts us off, but John has a pre-game action of exiling Alhamret's archive and is able to put a Gemstone Caverns into play. Matt then moves to turn 1, drawing for turn, playing an island, and passing. Max has a forest for turn, and pays 1 green to suspend Search for Tomorrow. Arja draws, plays an island, and casts a Moxfield Changeling. John's turn has him playing a Plains, and since he's got that extra land from turn 0, casts a Azorius Signet. Mathieu draws, plays a Swamp, and passes. Max plays an island for turn, and pays 2 for a Lotus Cobra. Arja's turn has him playing a Swamp, and then bringing out Francisco. He then goes to combat, and hits John for 1 with the Moxfield Changeling, and even gives it flying for fun. John takes the hit, and Arja gets to explore, revealing and putting a land to his hand. John draws for turn, playing a Forbidden Orchard. He taps it, which gives Mathieu a Spirit token, and he's able to cast Shoulder the Apocalypse, and passes. Mathieu draws, taking 2 from Shouldered, and he then swings a Spirit token at Arja for 1. Afterwards, he plays Decanter of Endless Waters, and ships the turn. Max has his Search for Tomorrow coming off of Suspend, going to find an island. He then plays a Forest, and casts Jyoti, who as it comes in, makes a Forest Dryad. With nothing else, he passes. Arja draws, taking 2 as well, playing an island, and then casts Malcolm. He again gives the Moxfield Changeling flying by tapping Francisco, and swings it at John. John takes the hit, and Arja gets to explore a card to his graveyard, making a treasure token, and pumping the creature by +1/+1. John draws, gaining 2 from Shouldered, and he then casts Brainstorm, gaining 6 more. He then plays an untapped Hollowed Fountain, and follows up with Jace's Archivist. Going to combat, Shouldered goes at Arja for 4, and she connects, and John passes. Mathieu draws, taking 2, and casts a Passageway Seer, bringing the initiative into the game. He gets to go and find an island off entering the first room of the Undercity, which he then plays. He then passes, and gets to put a counter onto the Passageway Seer during his end step. Max draws and loses 2, and plays a Tireless Provisioner. He then plays a Waterlogged Grove, making a treasure token and a mana from the Lotus Cobra. He then casts Burgeoning, and follows up with an Explorer, drawing a card, but having no extra land to play. He swings his Commander and the Forest Dryad at John, who takes the hit from both. With nothing else, Max passes. Arja drawing has him losing 2 life, and he plays River of Tears and goes to combat. He swings Francisco at John, and Malcolm at Mathieu, and then Moxfield Changeling at Max. They all connect, which has Arja making 3 treasure tokens and exploring 3 times. This has him putting 2 cards into his graveyard and 1 land to hand, and he pumps Francisco. He also takes the initiative, going to find a basic. Arja then does the table a huge favor, casting a Hostage Taker to exile Shouldered. That goodwill is then immediately used up as he cracks his treasure tokens to cast Shoulder on his side, and he passes after that. John draws, this time around taking 2 as opposed to gaining 2, and he plays a Swamp and casts a Consecrated Sphinx. He has Mathieu get the Spirit token from the Forbidden Orchard bead tapped, and with nothing else, he passes. Matt draws, losing 2, and John draws 2 cards with him, losing 4. Mathieu then plays a Swamp for turn, and makes a deal with Arja to hit him for 1 with a Spirit token, so he'll regain the initiative. Arja agrees, and Mathieu is good with his deal, and moves into the next room to put 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Spirit token. He then casts his Commander with Rilsa Rael, and moves further into the Undercity, goading Shouldered and passing turn. Max draws, plays an island, and this time around makes a food token. He then casts Uro, and gets to put a forest into play off of it, choosing to make another food token. Max then moves to combat, and makes a deal with Mathieu this time to take the initiative, hitting with the Lotus Cobra for 2. As Max enters the Undercity, he gets to go and find a land off the initiative. And once done that, he casts a Genesis Storm for 2. This gets him a Bone Sabers, and funny enough a Genesis into play as well, and passes after the spell resolves. Arja's turn has him drawing, gaining 2, and then plays an island for turn, which has Max putting a forest into play from Burgeoning, making a treasure and getting a floating mana from the Cobra, which he then uses to help sacrifice a food to gain some life. Arja then casts Lightning Greaves and moves them onto Shoulder before going to combat. He swings Shouldered and the Hostage Taker at John, and Malcolm goes at Matt and Francisco goes at Max. John blocks Shoulder with the Archivist, and the Hostage Taker with the Consecrated Sphinx, and everyone else then takes their hits. This has Arja exploring twice, and putting a land into his hand and a counter on Francisco, and making 2 treasure tokens from Malcolm. He also regains the initiative, and scries 2 for moving to the next room. He passes after that. John's upkeep has him casting a Vampiric Tutor, losing 2 to put a card on top. He then draws for turn, losing 2 more. In his main phase, he casts Dream Halls, but Arja responds with a Remand. Mathieu counters the Remand with an offer you can't refuse though, because he wants the Dream Halls to resolve. John is then able to use Dream Halls to cast Omniscience, but Mathieu responds by bouncing 2 islands to cast Gush. This has Mathieu drawing 2 and losing 4, and Matt then continues by using the Dream Halls to cast Thirst for Discovery, and discards an island to it. Mathieu then flashes in the Lochmere Serpent, but has no other responses and the Omniscience resolves. John then has a bit of an underwhelming turn, casting a Felwar Stone, Sky Diamond, and then pitches a card to cast Queza, and with nothing else, passes. Matt draws, losing 2 to Shouldered, and then plays an island for turn. He swings the Passageway Seer and Lochmere Serpent at Arja, and the Spirit token goes at John, and he gets to put the Rilsa trigger on the Spirit. John then takes 3, and Arja jumps the Serpent with his Moth Dust Changeling. Mathieu retakes the initiative, and draws a card as he moves into the next room. His second main phase then has him casting a Dimir Signet and passing. Max draws, losing 2, and plays Tetiova. He then moves the Bone Sabers onto his commander. Going to combat, he swings Jyoti at Matt, who blocks with Rilsa Rael to trade. With nothing else, Max passes. Arja's got a Swamp, and casts a Kitesail Freebooter, targeting John as it comes in. He takes a Psychic Spiral from John's hand, and then goes to combat. He sends Francisco at Max, and Malcolm at Matt, but Matt responds by offensively using Slip Out the Back, and phases out Malcolm. Max then takes 3, and Arja gets to explore and make a treasure token. He then casts a Likeness Looter, and passes. John draws, losing his 2, and plays an Esper Sentinel, and then follows up with Toothy, and passes. Mathieu resolves the last chapter of the Undercity on his upkeep, and gets to keep a Fairy Mastermind from it, and then draws, losing 2. He then plays an island, and pitches Fly to cast Rilsa Rael thanks to Dream Halls. Arja responds to that by countering it with Counterspell, and once she's back in the command zone, Mathieu then pitches a Blighted Agent to cast her again. As she comes in, he takes the initiative once more, and goes to find a basic. He goes to combat and swings the Passageway Seer at Arja, and puts the Rilsa Rael trigger onto it. This forces Arja to double block. With nothing else, Matt passes. Max draws, losing 2, and plays a Forest, drawing a card from Tetiova, losing 2 from Shouldered, and gaining 1 from Tetiova as well. He gets to make a food token from the Tireless Provisioner, and then plays a Ruin Crab before recasting Jyoti, who upon entering, makes him 2 more Forest Dryad tokens. This has each opponent milling 6 from the Crab, and Max getting a Provisioner trigger, and drawing 2 more cards, losing a total of 4, but gains 2 of it back. Max then follows up with a Bellowing Tangleworm. Going to combat, Max swings out at Mathieu, but Mathieu responds by casting a Dark Ritual, not paying the 1 for the Esper Sentinel, forcing John to draw a card and lose 2. Mathieu then sacrifices a Swamp to the Lochmere Serpent's ability, drawing a card. Matt then uses Dream Halls to cast a Rapid Hybridization, and takes out the Tangleworm. He's then able to block everything but the Forest Dryad token. This does have Max taking back the initiative though, and he gets to put 2+1/+1 counters onto his commander, and he passes after that. Arja draws, gaining 2, and plays a Swamp, which has Max putting an island into play, milling everyone for 3, drawing him a card, losing him 2 life, but also gains 1 life back. Arja then casts a Direfleet Hoarder, and goes to combat. He swings Francisco at Max for 3, who takes the hit. This has Arja exploring a land to his hand, and making a treasure token, and taking back the initiative, this time goading the Lochmere Serpent. After combat, Arja flashes back Dread Return, reanimating a Brainstealer Dragon. He then moves the Lightning Greaves onto it, and follows up by recasting Malcolm. Going to his end step, the dragon triggers, and he gets the top card from each opponent before passing to John. John draws for turn, and with the shoulder trigger on the stack, casts Psychic Spiral with the Dream Hulls to target Arja and mill him for a bit, and then gets taken out as shoulder drains the last of his life. Mathieu's turn has him playing a Swamp and casting Sword Coast Sailor. He then goes to combat, swinging Rilsa Rael and the Passageway Seer at Arja, and the Lochmere Serpent goes at Max. Arja takes the hit, while Max double blocks with his Forest Dryad tokens, losing one of them. Mathieu gets to take back the initiative though, and puts 2 more +1/+1 counters onto his Spirit token. He then exiles 5 cards from Arja's graveyard to bring back the Lochmere Serpent. After that, Matt passes, and Max eats a food token on his end step. Max returns Bellowing Tangleworm with Genesis on his upkeep, and then draws. He plays Oko, and downticks the Walker to make Rilsa Rael into an Elk. He then moves the Bone Savers back onto Jyoti. Going to combat, Max swings Jyoti at Matt, who blocks with a Spirit token, and with nothing else, Max passes. Arja's turn has him casting a Royal Elemental from the Brainstealer Dragon, and deals 6 to Max. He then plays a Waterfront District, and takes Matt's Fairy Mastermind with the Landfall trigger. Going to combat, Arja swings his Dragon and Malcolm at Mathieu, who takes the hit for 8. This is Arja getting the initiative, and drawing a card as he moves further into the room, plus make a treasure token from Malcolm. Moving to his end step, Arja exiles the top cards from his opponents again, thanks to the Brainstealer Dragon. Mathieu's turn has him drawing and playing a Swamp and going to combat. He swings the Passageway Seer at Arja, who takes the hit for 6. This has Mathieu taking back the initiative, and he moves into Trap, dealing 5 to Arja. With nothing else, Mathieu passes, and during his end step, Max sacrifices a food token to gain back some life. Max draws for turn, and upticks Oko to make one of his food tokens into an Elk. He then plays the Bellowing Tangleworm again, but Arja responds by activating Fairy Mastermind. Everyone draws, and the worm then resolves, and Max then plays Nissa, Vital Force. He then upticks her on an island. Going to combat, Max swings a Forest Dryad at Arja, and the rest go at Mathieu. Matt blocks a Forest Dryad token with his Elk Rilsa Rael, and chumps the Nissa land with his Spirit token, but takes the rest, while Arja can't block and gets taken out. Max then gets the initiative and also moves into the trap room, dealing 5 to Matt. He then passes, and during his end step, Mathieu flashes in the Lochmere Serpent. Matt draws and plays a Swamp, and then sacrifices the Swamp to the Lochmere Serpent to draw a card. He then does it again, and then sacrifices an island to make the Serpent unblockable, and swings out at Max. Max chumps the Passageway Seer with his Rune Crab, and goes to 3 though, while Mathieu regains the initiative and draws a card. After combat, Matt plays Feywild Caretaker, taking back the initiative again to finish the Undercity. Sadly, he only finds Rankle, who comes in with 3 +1/+1 counters and hexproof until Matt's next turn. Max draws and swings out at Matt, and thanks to the Intimidate granted by the Tangleworm, Mathieu can't block enough, and Max wins the game. Game review time. This was an oldie but a goodie, and it got to showcase a lot of powerful cards, some of which are now game changers. When this was filmed, Consecrated Sphinx wasn't one of them, but as you could see, John drew a bunch of cards off of it, but really didn't do much as a result. I'd say the bigger impact of this game was Shoulder the Apocalypse, just draining everyone every time they drew a card. Other than that, I'm always happy to see fun and niche cards, like the Bellowing Tangleworm. Granting all of his green creatures Intimidate was super sweet of Max's deck, and it was a lot of fun to see him win because of it. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.